Okay, here we go. I've been meaning to do a video on the Prius on how you use them. These are by far the best vehicle in the world. They're not scary. People think they're a bit scary. This is just a basic 4-cylinder engine. You can see the coil packs on the top into the spark plug. It's an Allison, is it? An Allison engine, which means the valves don't close all the way, which means it's more efficient. Check it out. We've also got this piece, which is the main thing that's different. This is an inverter. So basically in your gearbox, along with the planetary gears, you're basically producing power in an AC, and then that goes into a DC, which then disappears off and charges your battery. Apart from that, it's a relatively basic car like any other model car, except it's built unbelievably well. So, how to drive your Prius. We're going to get in it and then we'll have a quick look at it. So, if you've come from something like I was having a little stage of driving courses all the time, to get in something like this is one that I've just picked up for sale. It's one of the most basic Priuses out there. Okay, my cameraman's putting his belt on. Good boy. Alright, so here's your basic layout, and this is the basic model if you wanted to look at it. This is your basic model. Okay, it comes with a single CD rather than a 6 CD like you have in the other ones. You have various displays and stuff, and it is pretty out there. Loads of luggage space, fantastic space for everything. Cup holders, space. There's cubby pockets. It's just brilliant. Okay, so if we're going to start your Prius, it's just a basic car. You have your key fob. There is also a key hidden in here in case you do have. I can't even get it out on this one. Unless you have, basically the key is in there. The key's in that key fob that you can take out. Okay, pull the little thing across and then your key will come out. Okay, doofer, like that. So that's your key to get in your car if you have battery issues, or if you go for a swim in the water like I did. Check out my other video. Okay, so you've just got a key fob like this. Do not lose these because they're very expensive. If you've only got one, it's pretty much scrap the car. So foot on the pedal, normal like an auto, and press your button, foot off the pedal. Now, it instantly lights up with all the lovely little things that you need. Take my sunnies off so I can see. You've basically got on the left here, you've got your gear drive. You've got a P, you've got a reverse, you've got neutral, and you've got a drive. Here is your gear lever. So on your gear lever you can see reverse, don't have to tell you what that is. The D for drive, neutral, but you've also got B, which is if you're going down a hill you can use engine braking. Here is your layout. The layouts do vary between the models. This is a Gen 2. She kicks out a lot of power, about 110 ponies in this beastie when combined with the motor. So as you can see, we've got a full battery on here. Okay, it gives you the outside temperature. Other models will have various different buttons here. I'm going to show you the mileage at the end after we've been for a quick drive. On the steering wheel, you've got a lot more models. This is like a real basic one compared to like the Esprit, which has like, well, my silver Scarface has an amazing array of stuff. It parks itself. You can run it on electric if you wish, okay, but it'll only do about a mile if your batteries are in tip-top condition. Okay, so on the layout there, your digital layout, you've got your fuel tanks, you've got your mileage, you've got a couple of trips you can do. Okay, so what I'm going to show you is how to take your car for a drive in case you're suddenly getting a Prius or thinking of getting a Prius. So down here you've got pedals. You have a brake pedal, you have an accelerator pedal, but you also have a handbrake up here. Now this is your, like on the old Mercedes, okay, so you just put it on, push down to release, put it on, push down to release. Okay, so that's your handbrake. So but you also have a park here, park button, which makes it into park, which has come up here with this one with a little square around your P. So that's like having an automatic park in a car. So if we're going to go to drive, we go to drive, neutral, into drive. Okay, foot on the brake. Okay, but remember you've still got your parking brake on. So as you can see up the top, it's gone to drive. Okay, and we're not doing anything. So we're in drive, push down on the pedal, it comes up, and then you're ready to move. Foot off the brake, and away you go. Now as you can see from the layout, because we've got full battery, it's going to use full battery. Hear that sound?
You can't hear it.
Isn't that amazing? That is just the most fantastic thing. And as you can see here, it gives you the read down, shows you what you're actually doing. Okay, so on this Prius, see now it's doing nothing because we're slowing down. We're still on the electric motor. So it's not until we start needing a little bit of torque to improve it, it'll give us the engine, which is going to be in a minute. So now you can see by the layout, you've got your engine is charging, is spinning the motor is being charged by the batteries, and both of those are making the wheels move round. Okay, it also gives you this mileage readout of how many you're going to get. So I am really passionate about these cars. I think they are the best vehicle. This one I'll show you the mileage later, which will probably blow you away, because this one does drive incredibly well. If it was a posher one, you'd have cruise control down here on a stalk, so don't have to explain to people what cruise control and how to use it, and you do use it quite a lot. These vehicles, Scarface, oh, you didn't show your Scarface. These vehicles are so addictive. Once you have a Prius, you'll never go back.
Because Priuses might be in handy because fossil fuels might be running out.
Fossil fuels are running out. We're at something called peak oil, young man. So peak oil is when all of the oil in the world has suddenly reached halfway. So we're actually into like 50%. We're now like in 55%, and we're actually using fuel. Pretty shit, really, considering we've had the ability to make electric vehicles since 50s, earlier than the 50s. Alice Charmer Tractors tried an electric tractor. Little things with motors, you've got 99% of the torque at one revolution of a motor. So a motor has only got to go from there to there, and it's got all the torque it can give within 0.1% or something. So pretty amazing. But I mean, it's just the way. I mean, you've got to think, we've got problems in this country now. We've steered everyone into hybrids and electric motors, and we've given them cheap tax, but that means the government is losing billions in revenue for tax. So keep an eye on this one, because it's gone back to being a battery car now. If I take my foot off the accelerator, it's now regenning. It's using the kinetic energy in the car to produce electric energy and charge your battery up. Okay, and it's still doing that. Still charging, still charging. Now it's going to need some power, so it's only on battery. Now it's on engine. Now that's the main feature of a Prius that makes it different. Okay, the main feature of a Prius is it will turn it onto regen and turn it onto engine when it needs it, and that's the clever thing. I mean, I think that is the main difference. Is the technology is in the brains that control the gearbox. The gearbox is where all the clever stuff is. The planetary gears, the both windings of a coil, so it can be a motor and also a dynamo and produce power in an AC form that then gets changed by the inverter into a DC to charge up your NiCads in the boot. Okay, check out my other videos for doing things with them. Okay, these are highly addictive cars to drive. My friends will take the mickey, but they are so addictive. I absolutely love them with a passion. They're comfortable, they're fun. Oh my god, I'm saying fun with a Prius.
Smooth. They're
smooth, they're fun, and they are addictive. Now, what I'm going to do once we've been driving a bit, because obviously we need to be driving to show the 5-minute increments. If you look, see the battery's gone down. Okay. And this is basically, you can see, I hope you can see that on the screen, and my son's doing some really good filming.
I think I see it now.
Okay, so I'm going to take my foot off. Now everything turns off, the engine turns off. There's no starter motor on this vehicle. Okay, and this is when you really enjoy it, when you get into traffic. Okay, because I'm regenning. Now it's using the motor. But what you can do is with this little button here, on your gear lever, boom. We've now gone into neutral. We're now doing nothing. We're not using any energy. We're not taking power from anything. We're literally a roller skate. All right, so when you come to a little hill like this, you can go into roller skate mode and just roller skate it. All right, I'm still not using any energy. Meanwhile, in a petrol car, you're still using energy. You're still putting wear on your engine, and you've still got issues. So now straight into drive, and off we go. Just going to turn my climate off if it isn't. It is off. So you've got your climate control here. If you film it, there we go. Climate control. Boom! Look at all that lot. Slightly different layouts on most Gen Priuses. all pretty basic. I don't need to tell people how to use the cruise control, the setup for the temperature, running the temperatures in the car. Oh, we've gone. Okay, so we can get to that. We can pull the heating on, do everything like that, and that's all pretty basic. Okay, now to go back to the screen for this, oh, that's gone to me radio because that's my audio. Press again, there we go. Now I've gone back to that one. Now there is a little feature in Priuses that does make you get a bit addicted, and that's the 5-minute increment, as I call it. So if we go to the layout here, we have your normal sort of consumption. If you press the consumption button, you'll then get the 5-minute increment. Okay. So now I'm in 100 miles to the gallon. So if we continued at this, we'd be doing 100 miles to the gallon. Now, all these vehicles have this 5-minute increment. It's kind of different shading and things like that. But at the minute, that's your 5-minute increment. So we've managed to save 50 watts per hour of energy because there's a little car there with a leaf pattern on it. Okay, so that comes from when we've been regenning down the hill. Okay, we're averaging, as you can see, 60 odd to the gallon, and over the last 4 miles we've done 37 as an average, which is pretty poo, but we've just reset it all. Okay, this one does about 60, 57, but you've got to remember you're using all sorts of stuff that uses power. My climate control is on, I think. Yeah, that's still on.
The one thing is that the seats are comfortable.
They're very, very comfortable. Considering this is a Mondeo, maybe it's an everyday car. Taxis love them. They're so comfortable and so quiet. I'm talking to you guys, and it's pretty quiet. I'm not having to shout much. But they are highly addictive. There's lots of buttons to play in the posh ones, but these are so addictive. I absolutely love them. Your views, really good. Blind spots aren't too bad. You've got really good little quarter windows at the back for when they pull out. Massive backs. The boots are huge on trunk. It's huge on these vehicles, and I really enjoy them. I really think Toyota have done a good thing. Now you're in this, you've seen how smart it is. It's done the 5-minute increment of 10 there, so we're averaging about 49. These vehicles actually do better mileage when they're in town, because obviously they're off most of the time. You can see we're doing 62 miles an hour. The speeds on these are a little bit out. I find them to be, if you're doing 63, you're probably doing 60. Okay, so, and now I'm going to show you a little something. This car is really steady. Look, I've got a little pull to the left. I think that's because
the wind.
My tyre pressures are a bit out. And we're going around the corner, so we'll try it on a straight bit and just see if we can go in a straight line.
Have they seen me before?
Yes, Brian. Right, okay, so if you want to look down to the trip, you'll see we've done 6.2 miles since I filled up with some juice. And I'm going to give you a little hint on the mileage. This is actually a low mileage for some of the Priuses we've had. Are you ready for this, guys? Now, if you can see that, and my cameraman is looking at that, 200,379 miles this vehicle has done. Okay, so if that was a normal car, you'd consider that high. If that was a Prius, I don't consider it high. You don't use your brakes a lot in a Prius, so your discs and pads you may replace just because they get bad corrosion, or the sliders on the calipers go. Apart from that, these will do 170,000 miles on your first set of discs and pads, and parts are relatively cheap. Don't be frightened by usual Toyota things. The most fright I had was I had to turn a light out when I was bleeding the brakes, because you've got to bleed them through software, and the auxiliary battery died on me and it threw up a light, and the only way I could get the light out was to take it to Toyota, and it was like 260 quid to turn the light out. Not very impressed, but pretty much my launch diagnostic, it's down there, he can touch this, turn the lights out and talk to it and do everything. Most diagnostics can, unlike the Volvo where the Vida is down on the back seat. The software to talk to the Volvo that we've got.
So Well, what is this?
Right, well that's showing that we're actually doing 99 to the gallon.
No, what does MPG mean?
Miles per gallon, fella.
Okay.
So that's how many gallons of fuel we put in it and how many miles you get per gallon for just about 4.5 litres per gallon in this country. Alright, so...
I'm going to be...
But as you can see, you get quite addicted to that and you end up having a very light foot. Alright? And you don't get Robbie rage. I don't get Robbie rage in a Prius. You sit in traffic, you get stuck behind a van, like this one in front, doing 58. You get stuck behind a van doing 58. As you can see, you get really good views from this. It's such a nice car.
He means this one here. Like this one. This one here.
And they do have enough power if you need it to overtake. So don't think, oh, I've got a Prius, I'm never going to be able to overtake. Because if you do need the power, obviously you get the power from the battery. So if I give it some welly and overtake the van, so you can hear an increase in noise now. Okay, oh, I'm not going to. And now we're doing 74 mile an hour, which is the speed limit in this country. So they're perfectly good cars to use. You're not going to think, oh, I'm in a Prius, I'm going to be stuck behind everything, because you can drive along at the speed limit quite happily. Noise maybe increases a little bit, wind noise. But apart from that, you're pretty much in a normal car. Now, Scarface, Posh Prius, the amount of things I've got on my Scarface will put most cars to shame for what they have. So there's not a lot I can tell you about driving this that isn't apart from like a normal automatic car. Although the gearbox is nowhere near as technical as a normal automatic car. But again, I haven't heard of many gearboxes going wrong. Okay, and this has done 200,000 miles. There's a dry clutch in it. There's no starter motor. And it's still driving like it would do normally. I mean, this has got like the shiny dash, which isn't particularly great. And I mean, it's just a great little car. And all the time you're watching, even now I'm watching this. And I'm watching how I'm performing, how it's performing. Okay, I'll flick on the consumption and see what my mileage is, 43. But then we have been up some big hills. And you find yourself, the only Robbie rage you get is if somebody makes you have to slow down or stop or doesn't indicate so you have to stop, you're like, oh. And you find yourself going back to your HGV training, driving lorries, whereas you're driving 8 or 9 cars ahead of you. So you're thinking always about slowing down, going, stopping, not stopping, doing everything you possibly can so you're not touching those brakes, because your brakes are the planet killers in the world. Brakes are planet killers. You touch your brakes, kill the planet. Alright? You got a few little controls on here. Just a little one, recirculate. Heats in rear mirror, heat in the front windscreen, although this hasn't got heat windscreen. It's just got the blowers on it. You've got your temperature control to go up and down, but you need the heating on to do that one. You've got mode for your radio, and you've got the controls for that.
Ooh, I got one question.
Yes, bro.
So, we can do another video on a Volvo with the heated seats. So with the Volvo, guys, can I point at myself?
Go on if you're quick.
So with the Volvo, we have a
like
Volvo.
That one that's broken down.
Yeah. The Volvo went that way. We got a Volvo at home, and Rob picked me up at school.
Right, you're getting confused again. Go back to what this car's doing now, because we've stopped, okay, and we've managed to get, even though we've been on the motorway, a full charge on the battery, okay, by using that rundown as we come off the slip road. We've used enough regen to charge that whole battery, okay, which is great, because if you're using energy that's come from the sun, put into the trees, made into fuel, the fuel's been burned. When you put your foot on the brakes, you're then turning that energy back into heat, okay? Energy is energy, yeah? Physics is physics. Energy only goes through form, into form, and out of form. So you've basically taken the sun's energy that went into the trees, stored in carbon, turned into crude oil, burnt in petrol, making heat again. So instead of that heat being got rid of, if you hold on the brake, look, if you notice, everything's now turned off. So now you've got like the on-off start in like most modern cars, and it's like a newfangled thing, but it's shite, because you find yourself going, oh God, right, and then you have to wait for the car to start, and then you accelerate. So you probably use more fuel, whereas in a Prius, it's instantaneous, yeah? And a Prius will use its generator to get the car going first. It will use that battery to get yourself going first. All right? So, going back to some user issues, I don't think there is any. They are quite frightening. Do not listen to all the things about the batteries are shite, because you can repair the batteries. And some of the times it's the auxiliary battery that throws up the main battery faults. Okay, so those are the one thing to look for. Parts are relatively cheap unless it's major things that go wrong. They can kill you with batteries. I mean, just look at where we're driving now, and now we've switched back onto regen. The tone of the engine will change if you manage to regen. But here I'm going to flick onto neutral, and now we're in neutral. We're not using anything, so we're just floating on a roller skate. So your car's become a roller skate. We're still floating. If I need some power, I'll whap it back into drive. And this is what I do on my way to work. There's a few stretches where I can go like 1.5 miles, 2 miles, and I won't even be using energy. I'll either be on regen, or another little trick we can do, if Brian shows you this one, okay, if you hover on your accelerator, watch what happens. So there's nothing now regenning, but I don't want it to slow me down and regen. I wonder if I can do it. I haven't tried it with this one.
In roller skates?
I can do. What you can do is if you just touch the accelerator lightly, okay, now I'm regenning, I'm having to brake as well, but if you just touch there you go. If you touch the accelerator lightly, you see I'm not using any, I've turned it into a roller skate and I'm in neutral, but I'm still in drive. So now I've off the accelerator, I'm having to touch the brake even though I don't want to, hence the big gap. So I'm regenning, I'm full on regen now.
Can I show the people the beautiful houses they're building here?
You can do, on all this lovely green. All these millions of houses they're building outside of Plymouth. I can't build an eco house, but they can build all this.
Look at all this. When we went down here, it was all nice down here, but now they're building houses, and that's why is it bad? Because
they're not sustainable, and they're going to be crap, and they're thrown up, and they're going to be full of mould because they're square.
And then
okay, so anyway, back to Priuses. Because we're going to cut this video down in a minute and say, yeah, that's it. It's basically a car. Don't be frightened of driving your Prius. Any questions about driving Priuses, operating Priuses, look out my other videos, subscribe, and we've also got a little group on Facebook. I love my Prius, and we've got some really funny things where we have the truck that someone built in America, where he turned his Prius into a truck, a pickup truck. We've got I think it's an A10 machine gun, Gatling gun off an A10 tank buster that they've put on top of a Prius, which is just cool. Probably ripped the transmission out of the Prius, but if they put a better brake system on it, it'd be a great thing.
And type on YouTube about tanks coming out of waters. Tanks coming out of water.
So we've got, he's going in there. He's going in there. Right, okay, so we're going to go now. We're going to pick up a screen cover, and there's a nice lorry like I passed my test. So much love to everyone. Be safe with Corona. Subscribe and buy a Prius.
And turn on notifications for all.
Yay! See you later.